The film begins with Audrey, who is deeply saddened by the death of her husband. She hugs her daughter Harper, who asks her, "Why is Grandma so tired?" Audrey tells her that it is because she lost her son, and that it is the worst kind of pain. Harper then asks if it is worse than the feeling of losing a father. Audrey replies that with time she will feel better. After that, Audrey starts preparing for her husband's funeral. She remembers Jerry, Brian's close friend, and asks her brother Noah to go and inform him that Brian has died so that he can come and attend the funeral. We learn that Jerry is originally an addict, and that Brian considered him more than a brother. Jerry then arrives, completely shocked by the news of Brian's death. He goes to Howard, Brian's friend and neighbor. Howard meets Jerry and tells him that he loved Brian very much and still cannot believe that he died so easily. Jerry then goes to greet Harper and Dory and tells them that their father was his dearest friend and that they were like brothers. He begins telling them some stories about their father that Brian used to share with him. After that, he goes to Audrey and asks if she needs anything. She thanks him and tells him that she was always jealous of how much Brian cared about him. Then she starts crying and tells him that now he reminds her of Brian. Jerry hugs her and tells her that he will always be there for them and will keep checking on them. That night they all sit together and talk about Brian, sharing stories and memories about him. It becomes clear that Jerry was the person who knew him the best. At that moment, Audrey remembers a memory of the two of them when they were out together. The children had fallen asleep in the car, and she wanted to stay out with Brian. But Brian told her he had to go to Jerry because it was his birthday. Audrey got angry and argued with him because he always seemed to put his friend before them. Brian told her it was Jerry's birthday and that he couldn't leave him alone, especially in his situation, referring to the fact that Jerry was an addict. Brian then goes to Jerry's house and finds it in a terrible mess. The two of them go out together, and Brian tries to convince him to stop using drugs. He takes him to buy everything he needs, and Jerry promises him that he will quit his addiction. We then return to Audrey in the present, who wakes up from her memories and begins to cry, realizing that she has suddenly become completely alone. Meanwhile, Jerry remembers the moment when Noah, Audrey's brother, came to him and told him that Brian, his lifelong friend, had been killed and that he had to come with him immediately to attend the funeral. Jerry is shocked and says that it was the worst moment of his entire life, and that he constantly feels guilty and believes that he should have died instead of Brian. Harper, on the other hand, remembers the last time they all had lunch together. Her father, as usual, was trying to convince her to eat meat, but Harper believed that eating meat was a crime because it involved killing animals, so she chose to be vegetarian. After that, Audrey says that some money disappeared from the car and claims that Brian's addict friend must have stolen it. Brian defends Jerry and tells her that Jerry would never do such a thing. They argue about it, and Audrey insists that Jerry is just an addict and must have taken the money. Despite that, Brian remains kind and tells her not to get upset. Even so, Brian does not cut off his relationship with Jerry. Instead, he continues to bring him things and take care of him. When he returns home, he reconciles with Audrey. She asks him how Jerry is doing, and he tells her that his condition is getting worse, but he will continue helping him because he is his friend. The next day they all go swimming at their friend Howard's house, except for Dory, who is very scared and cannot be convinced to join them no matter how hard Brian tries. This turns out to be the last time they are all together. Later that day, Brian sees a fight in the street between an addicted man and his wife. When Brian intervenes and tries to help the woman, the husband pulls out a gun and shoots him. Shortly after, the police arrive at Audrey's house and inform her of what happened. She is shocked and tells the police officer that she does not know what she will tell her children. In the present, Audrey tries to keep herself busy with housework so she does not think about Brian, whom she misses deeply and cannot imagine living without. She remains tense and irritable all the time until she finally decides to do what Brian used to do and take care of Jerry, because he is the only person who reminds her of Brian. She goes to visit him at the house where he used to live, but the neighbors tell her that he has moved and now works at a hospital. She goes to see him there, and he tells her that he lives there in exchange for working. She asks him if he has stopped using drugs, and he says that he has not used anything for 2 weeks. She asks him to call her if he needs anything. She returns home and tries to act normally in front of her children, but she cannot, and she gets angry with them over trivial reasons. Days pass, and Audrey tries to keep herself busy with anything that might help her forget and cope with her pain, but she fails. One day she goes out to buy household supplies, and by chance she finds the money in the car that she had accused Jerry of stealing. Feeling guilty, she goes to him and offers him a place to live in the storage room she has. She tells him that the storage room had burned down before and they were never able to renovate it. She makes an agreement with Jerry that he will help her renovate it because she cannot afford to pay workers to do the job. Jerry agrees to her offer. He moves in with them, and during that time he goes to Howard and helps him move his belongings, since Howard is about to divorce his wife. A friendship begins to form between Howard and Jerry. At night, Audrey invites Jerry to have dinner with them. Jerry tries to get closer to the children, who feel happy for the first time in a long time. The next day, Howard goes to Jerry and asks him to go running with him, telling him that he used to do that with Brian. Without realizing it, Jerry begins doing all the things that Brian used to do. Later, Howard offers him a job as a real estate agent. Jerry then asks Howard about Audrey's financial situation and whether she really needs money. Howard tells him that Audrey actually does not need money at all. On the contrary, Brian had secured their future very well. He tells Jerry that she probably let him live with them because she feels sorry for him. Because of that, Jerry goes to Audrey and asks her why she wants him to live there. Audrey hesitates and tells him that she does not know. Maybe it is because he reminds her of Brian, or maybe because he was the one who should have died. She tells him that in any case, his presence makes her feel Brian's spirit, and that is what she wants. Since Jerry was recovering from addiction, being surrounded by a family was important for him as well. Gradually, Jerry begins to integrate with them. He goes to Harper and trains her to play basketball just like her father used to do. At night Audrey cannot sleep. She tells Jerry that she is scared and asks him to come sleep next to her to reassure her. Jerry agrees and sleeps beside her, but nothing happens between them, she simply needed to feel safe. Days pass, and Jerry begins attending group therapy sessions for addicts. There he says that he once had a perfect friend whom he considered more than a brother. He says that this friend never abandoned him and never lost hope in him, even though he would quit drugs and then relapse again. Brian always believed in him. Jerry says that in a single moment he lost his friend Brian at the hands of an addicted man, and since that day he decided to stay completely away from drugs. Kelly is impressed by his words and goes to introduce herself to him. At that time, Audrey goes to clean Brian's closet and tries to get rid of his clothes and donate them to the poor, but she cannot bring herself to do it. The next day, Jerry goes to meet Howard, and he agrees to work as a real estate agent. After that, he goes to tell Audrey, who asks him how it feels when he takes drugs. He tells her that it feels as if he has escaped from all the pain he feels. She tells him that she wants to try it. Jerry replies that she is a strong woman and that she will be able to overcome the pain she is feeling. After that, Jerry takes Harper and Dory and goes swimming with them. This time he manages to convince Dory to get into the water and swim with them. Audrey feels jealous because Brian had never been able to convince Dory to do that. She begins to feel that Jerry is trying to take Brian's place, so she goes to argue with him and tells him that she does not like how close he is getting to the children and that she does not want him to play the role of their father. She asks him to stay away from her children. Jerry apologizes and tells her that he never meant to make her feel that way. After what happened, Jerry tries to avoid them and focus on his studies, but he is surprised when Audrey comes to him and tells him that Harper's school called and asked why she was absent, even though Harper took the bus in the morning. This means she ran away from school. Audrey is extremely worried about her daughter, but Jerry tries to reassure her and says they will find her. He asks Audrey to look for her at her friends' houses while he searches somewhere else. At that moment, Jerry guesses that she must be at the cinema, because Brian had once told him that he used to take Harper to the movies every Tuesday without telling Audrey. If Audrey knew he had taken Harper out of school early, she would have been angry. His guess turns out to be correct. He goes to the cinema, finds Harper there, and tells her to call her mother immediately to reassure her. When they return home and Audrey learns the truth, she becomes very angry because Jerry knew something about her daughter that she did not know. She feels jealous that he is getting closer to the children than she is. Because of that, she decides to kick him out of the house and tells him that she has had enough of his interference in her children's lives and that she does not want to see him again. That night, Harper sees Jerry trying to steal some silver spoons and knives. She realizes that he is doing this because he has relapsed and is thinking about returning to drugs. She stops him and tells him that if her father were alive, he would be angry with him. She asks him not to be angry with her mother and even suggests that he should marry her mother so they could all live happily together again. But Jerry tells her that this cannot happen and that he is not trying to take her father's place. The next day, Harper discovers that Jerry has left the house. She goes to her mother crying and tells her that if they abandon Jerry, he will return to drugs. But Audrey tells her that Jerry is an adult man and knows what is best for himself. Meanwhile, Dory tells his mother that Jerry will surely die just like their father did. At that moment, Audrey begins to feel guilty. On the other hand, Kelly, Jerry's colleague from the recovery meetings, notices that he has been absent and realizes that he may have relapsed. She calls Audrey and asks if that is Jerry's house and asks about him. Audrey tells her that he left and went somewhere else. Kelly becomes worried and says that he must have relapsed. Audrey feels guilty and runs out to search for him in the streets like a madwoman. She goes to a street full of homeless people and addicts, and she finally finds Jerry there, but he has already taken a dose of drugs. She takes him home and asks her brother Noah to take care of him during the first 3 days, because withdrawal symptoms are extremely severe. Jerry suffers terribly during those first 3 days and literally feels like he is dying. Kelly comes to check on him and thanks Audrey. She tells her that she lost her boyfriend to an overdose, which is why she decided to recover. She says she has been sober for more than a year and that she is confident Jerry will recover as well. During that time Jerry suffers greatly, but Noah stays beside him. He experiences panic attacks, severe dizziness, and vomiting. Sometimes he feels extreme cold, and at other times he feels intense heat. Throughout this time, Audrey and her children take care of him. After about 2 weeks Jerry improves a little and is able to speak with Dory, who comes to check on him and gives him some biscuits. About a month later Jerry improves more, leaves his room, and thanks Audrey for everything she has done for him. After that, they go out together, and Audrey also begins to recover. They invite Howard and Kelly to dinner, and they all begin talking about Brian. At that moment Audrey breaks down for the first time and cries hysterically. Jerry stays beside her and tries to comfort her, telling her to cry more because crying will help her feel better. As the days pass, Audrey slowly gets better and begins to accept the fact that she has lost Brian. She then suggests that Jerry enter a rehabilitation center to complete his treatment, but he refuses, saying he cannot afford the cost. Audrey insists on paying for it and tells him that if Brian were alive, he would have done the same. Jerry agrees and promises that after he recovers, he will work and pay her back. Jerry then says goodbye to the children, who are deeply affected by his departure, especially Harper. However, he promises that he will come back and visit them again. Jerry begins his full recovery journey from addiction, while Audrey also begins her journey of healing from loss. For the first time, she takes her children to visit Brian's grave. 6 months later, Jerry fully recovers from addiction and leaves the rehabilitation center. He sends Audrey flowers and a letter thanking her, telling her that she changed his life and that without her he would have remained an addict surrounded by the shadow of addiction. Audrey also says that his presence in her life helped her overcome the pain of losing Brian.